Get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
What's this?
Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Doors. We're happy nonetheless to be bringing this to you from this location today. Now, today is World Day of Social Justice. World Day of Social Justice is an annual global celebration that highlights the importance of promoting social justice by addressing issues such as unemployment, poverty, exclusion, gender inequality, human rights, and social protection. We certainly hope that you look into it a whole lot more today and see how it relates to you and what you can do to advance the cause. The theme for this year's World Day of Social Justice is Bridging Gaps, Building Alliances. This theme emphasizes the importance of collaboration and partnership to address the challenges facing our world today. Now, coming up on today's show, we have quite a bit planned for you, so I'm hoping that you can stick around, but maybe you have to head out to work or school. The beautiful thing about being here in WIldey is once the sun rises completely, we'll be able to see all the traffic and people passing by on the outside. That's always a wonderful thing. Mario Herbert, an author of Shatania's Undone. It's a new book. We are going to share his works today, so he will be in to tell us a little bit more about that. It's a little bit about his childhood and a whole lot more, so that should be pretty exciting. And then in the next chapter, we are featuring Dr. Linda Ince Greenaway. We had an opportunity to speak with her about her book, Hard Truth. It was very well received, and we're going to share that with you as well. Also, Whole Town Festival came off over the weekend. We want to take a glimpse back at that. We were on the scene, and we want to make sure that we share all the excitement from that festival as well. It was very successfully staged, so we absolutely look forward to that. But we want to get started by talking all about what's happening all across our region with our weekly segment, Conversations on CARICOM. For that discussion, help me welcome His Excellency David Comishong, Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM. And today we're joined by Althea Wiggins, who is the Prime Minister's Special Envoy to Suriname and Guyana. Good morning and welcome.
Morning, Tisha.
Good morning. All right, so it's great to have both of you in company today on this beautiful day in a different space. Yeah. But nonetheless, good to have you here. Let's start with you, Ambassador. Let's set the tone for all that's been happening. I know in recent weeks, things have been happening quickly, but recently a delegation from Barbados made a trek to Trinidad, I believe, to have further discussions on the ferry service that is to come on stream pretty soon, we hope, fingers crossed, across several nations. Let's talk a bit about that to start.
Well, first of all, let me say what an honor it is to have the special envoy with me this morning, because truth be told, we are all one team. We are all working together on Barbados's economic diplomacy. And as you're going to hear from her, she is responsible for bringing to Barbados this week a number of very, very important economic actors from all across our region. And what happened last week when the Barbados team went down to Trinidad to have talks with their Trinidadian and Guyanese counterparts about this new ferry service. that the three governments will be putting on. The Trinidad government has provided one of their ferries, the Galleon Passage, and that ferry very soon from now is going to be plying between Barbados, Trinidad, and Guyana, and that is going to support a lot of the work that the special envoy is doing in terms of building those linkages with Guyana and Suriname in particular. So it was very exciting, because it's only a couple of weeks ago that the announcement was made that the three governments are coming together to launch this ferry service. And so it was very reassuring that as early as last Thursday, a major delegation from Barbados went down to Trinidad, officials of the Ministry of Tourism and International Transport, the Immigration Department, because Immigration and Customs have to be part of this whole thing. And the ferry will not only be taking passengers, but very importantly, it will also be taking agricultural produce. So, Tisha, it is happening. We talk the talk, but we are now walking the walk as well. It is happening.
Well, that's excellent stuff. A perfect segue for Special Envoy Wiggins to come in. I know, as the ambassador mentioned, you've been doing lots of work behind the scenes to ensure that we can have that level of collaboration, not only across the Caribbean, but in Latin America as well. And we've made quite a few inroads. You usually share a lot of the information with me, but I will defer to you to be able to have you share on how you've been able to attract from Brazil to Guyana and Suriname to come here for some very important business-to-business meetings.
Thank you, Tisha, very much. In terms of the engagement with Brazil, that actually happened accidentally in terms of engaging them. So I went to Brazil on 2 occasions. I went to their Expo Fair, which is their equivalent of our AgriFest on a large scale. While I was there, I would have met the governor of the state of Roraima, and he would have introduced me to his entire cabinet. So each single cabinet member I have to have engagement meetings with, because they all want to engage Barbados. But as I was there for AgriFair, I decided, well, let me invite these people to our AgriFest. So I began by engaging, obviously, the agricultural officials, the ones who are in charge of sanitary and phytosanitary issues, the superintendent, and all those persons, and then the farms. So I would have visited several farms and farmers while I was there. So a lot of them are coming to Barbados not to exhibit at AgriFest on this occasion, but they're coming for high-level business meetings, because we have the very large group called SEBRAE, which is one of the largest private sector agencies in Brazil, and they are here. We actually went to the airport last night to meet the executive director. He came in yesterday, and he's leading a group of about 26 high-level business persons who are here for business-to-business meetings with the captains of industry here in Barbados. So we have this networking session, business meeting at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center. Originally, it was at Pelican, but because we have over 300 delegates, Pelican was not adequate enough to hold these people, so we have shifted to the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center. And as well, the session will be addressed by some high-level persons, including the governor of the central bank, Dr. Kevin Greenwich. He'll be there telling them about the Barbados economy, how they can invest, and many other things. Mr. James Clark, who's the president of the Chamber of Commerce, he will also be addressing the delegates. We wanted Ambassador Commission to speak with CARICOM, because the Brazilians specifically told me they want to engage with CARICOM, but the ambassador has to travel. So Ambassador McCook, he will be speaking to the delegates on behalf of CARICOM.
All right, that's a lot happening. So kudos. I certainly look forward to the outcome of these very important high-level meetings and look for some fruitful returns for our part of the region. Ambassador?
You know, Alfia says this happened by chance, but it's not really by chance because Barbados and Guyana, you know, we are working very closely with Guyana, but Barbados and Guyana have collectively targeted the Brazilian state of Roraima.
That's
So it's
right.
not by chance. Prime Minister Motley has visited Roraima on several occasions along with President Ali. And Roraima is the Brazilian state that is closest
To Guyana.
It's right on the border with Guyana.
Yes.
So it's easier, it's shorter to come from Roraima to Barbados to Bridgetown than to go to Sao Paulo or Rio de Janeiro
then
in
Miami,
Brazil.
and then Barbados.
So we are actively pursuing a relationship with the state of Roraima, even while we pursue a relationship with the overall country of Brazil.
Yeah.
And we should note that we do have an embassy in Brazil. We have an ambassador, Ambassador Tonika Seeley Thompson, and she has been working on that Barbados-Brazil relationship. And in fact, the president of Brazil, President Lula da Silva, he will be our special guest at the CARICOM Heads of Government Conference in Guyana next week. So we are actively building a serious economic relationship with Brazil. So lots of things are happening, Tisha. This week, we have really used AgroFest. AgroFest has become the occasion to bring to Barbados, to focus on Barbados a number of these regional initiatives. So you have a team of 120 coming in from Suriname,
Wow. 120.
50 coming in from Guyana,
30 from Brazil,
30 from Brazil. You have the team from Cuba already in.
5 from Cuba.
And then you have also some coming in from Venezuela. so,
From
so you're
Venezuela.
talking the Caribbean civilization, really.
That's right.
And AgroFest providing the opportunity to bring it all together right here in Barbados. And then next week, we're off to the CARICOM Heads of Government.
Now, I'm sure you'll have lots to talk about once you get there. I know over the past 2 weeks, you've been able to make quite a few inroads in terms of determining how we move forward business-wise and otherwise, in terms of free movement of people across the region, trade and development, working together generally. How does this tie in to all that's happening in the southern part of the Caribbean and Latin America?
Well, Barbados has specifically targeted the southern part of the Caribbean, Guyana with our St. Barnabas Accord, and Suriname with our Barbados
Strategic
Suriname,
Dialogue Platform for Cooperation.
platform. And the Prime Minister had the good sense and the vision to appoint a special envoy, and no less a person than Ms. Wiggins here. And I say that, you know, not jokingly, I say that very seriously, because she is relentless in pursuing Barbados's economic interests, and I would defer to her because she is the linchpin. You know, I am the overall CARICOM ambassador, but where Suriname and Guyana are
Brazil.
concerned and really pushing that cooperation agenda, Ms. Wiggins is the person on the ground really doing the work. So, Alfia, I would defer to you.
Yes, so in relation to this, what would have happened, as Ambassador said, Barbados and Guyana, they have an agreement whereby trade from Brazil to Barbados can happen. Guyana is therefore being used as a transshipment base so that the goods can come directly through to Guyana and to Barbados. Because technically speaking, it takes just about 7 days, if so long, to ship from Guyana to Barbados, and Suriname is 3 days. So the turnaround time is very short in relation to produce that, let's say, will spoil, like melons and mangoes and bananas and so on. So Guyana is facilitating Barbados a lot in that trade, because remember that 25 by 25 project, and Brazil now is factored into that equation to ensure that we achieve that 25 by 25 project. In terms of the 120 persons that are coming from Suriname, some of those are exhibitors, but a lot of them are here to do business. As a matter of fact, I would have met one of the largest company owners in Suriname, and she wants to come to Barbados to invest in that food terminal. And that's a very critical thing, because when all this food is coming into Barbados, we are going to store it in that food terminal and reship it out to the region. So that's what we want to do in terms of trade within the region, because it is very important. We really have to start looking for food sovereignty and food security among ourselves, which is regional. And this is exactly what these agreements, these accords that we have with these various countries intend to achieve.
All right, so that's excellent. And for those of you who don't know, the 25 by 25 is achieving 25%
By the year
reduction
2025.
of the extra-regional import bill,
extra-regional food imports by
the year
2025.
2025.
We're going to take a break as the sun rises here in WIldey and indeed all across the Caribbean. You're going to get to see what's happening outside a little bit more, but certainly here on set we're going to continue this discussion as we talk about all the inroads we're making in the Caribbean and across Latin America. Do stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning.
Hey guys, my name is John Yard and I'm the father to an amazing 3-year-old little boy. He'd say it like this: my name is Malachi John Yard. And Malachi, he's a super adventurous little boy. He loves to explore, he loves to have a great time, and it's my responsibility to facilitate such.
Wake up. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Hey, welcome back. It's a beautiful Tuesday. Good to have you with us. I don't know what's happening in your neck of the woods, but we certainly are enjoying good conversation and talking about what's happening. Welcome to another Morning Barbados presentation. A special welcome to those of you across the diaspora who are watching on YouTube and Facebook. It's always great to have you. And I know we have a Morning Barbados chat room. And you crew, you're always locked on. The majority of you are spread across North America and the UK. So it's good to have you tuned in every single day to be a part and to hear what's happening here in your beautiful home country of Barbados. And speaking of sharing what's happening here in Barbados and extra-regionally as well, we have Ambassador David Comichong here with us and Althea Wiggins, who is the special envoy to Guyana and Suriname. Assume they're going to have to add a host of other country names because we're hearing about how relentless she is in, pushing Barbados economic interests across LATAM. So let's move out of the Southern Caribbean for just a moment, because we have Cuba, a delegation, a small delegation from Cuba, Ambassador, who are here as well to share with us over the long AgroFest weekend. But we know it will redound to a relationship that goes far beyond what will happen at AgroFest.
Yeah, we have a 5-member team from Cuba here on the ground already. So while we are pursuing our Southern Caribbean diplomacy with Suriname, Guyana, Venezuela, we are also looking north to Cuba. And we are building these relationships right across the Caribbean. Special Envoy Wiggins spoke about the food terminal. You know, that is the 7-acre site at Lears where we're going to build, where Barbados is going to occupy this very central role as being this hub, this food terminal of warehouses and refrigeration facilities and agro-processing. And then we bring in the produce from Guyana, Suriname, etc., and we ship out. But we're also focusing on not just the food and food technology, but we're focusing on all of the biotechnology, the life sciences. So the Cuban connection now is very much centered around, well, many areas of cooperation, but a central area of cooperation is that whole area of biotechnology. And you know, we are building our first biotechnology park, life sciences park at Newton. And it is expected that all of the advances Cuba has developed in relation to biotechnology, they will be inserted into that park, right? So the Cubans who are coming, for example, LabioPharm, representatives of LabioPharm from Cuba. LabioPharm is a biotechnology company in Cuba that focuses on agriculture. So like things like biopesticides, for example, the development of special supplements for animals. So they will be coming, they will be exhibiting at AgroFest, but it goes beyond AgroFest. As Alfia said, many of these folk will be taking part in AgroFest over the weekend, but they're also here for business-to-business meetings, for meetings with our government officials. And I think we should say that Barbadian businesses who think that they would like to be engaged with these folks from Cuba, Guyana, Suriname, Brazil, Venezuela, that they should really contact Invest Barbados, Export Barbados, all of the Barbadian partners that are working on this business-to-business session on Thursday at the Lloyd Erskine Sandyford Center. So there's still time for Barbadian businesses who wish to rub shoulders with these folk and, you know, make their own business relations. There's still time for them to sign up and come to that event on Thursday.
We actually have a registration process in place. The ads would have been in the weekend edition of the newspapers. And if you can't get onto the Google form, which some people have said, you can call 286-2419 and let me know if you are going to register, because we need the final numbers for other purposes. But it is very important to register online because we have the different areas in terms of the business-to-business meeting, whether it is fish farming, education, cattle rearing, poultry, investment opportunities. A lot of them are here for investment opportunities. So once you have registered, what we do behind the scenes, we are disaggregating that information and setting up little pods at LESC so that we can match people with the businesses here to do that. So that's what we're doing. But to go back to what we were discussing earlier about the delegation, the Venezuelans who are coming are also into biotechnology. One of the exhibitors, he'll be here bringing organic fertilizers to Barbados. And you probably might know that, you know, we had a little issue with fertilizers. So if you can get, and this organic fertilizers is made from earthworms. You can't get it more organic than that. And with respect to the Cubans, they display that they're not actually bringing the drugs and so on. They're only bringing the empty boxes, because you have to have special permission from the relevant government agencies here, deal with the National Health Service here, the drug service, in order to bring these things to Barbados.
So in fact, they're sharing about them.
They're sharing about them, but they're not bringing them because it's a lot of permissions that have to be granted in order to bring them here.
But it's all part of the Barbados-Cuba Cooperation Agreement. You know, we have this task force, the Barbados-Cuba Cooperation, and of course, we are pursuing a whole range of areas, but very critical all that Cuba has done and achieved in biotechnology and
Yes.
genetic engineering, all they have achieved in relation to creating new drugs, new pharmaceutical products, products in terms of the food industry and animal husbandry and so forth.
Yeah.
We want to tap into all of that. So it's very exciting what is happening. We're actually talking about no less than 200 either exhibitors or people who are coming here to pursue business interests, to pursue investment and business relationships. So 200 from Cuba in the north to Brazil and Suriname and Venezuela in the south. That is what is happening this week.
And that's why this business-to-business forum at LESC on Thursday is going to be very important. So we have also circulated the captains of industry here in Barbados because they want to meet all the supermarket people as well, all the people who import the fresh produce, watermelons, papaya, jackfruit. You know, they're bringing in a lot of that stuff, the Surinamese. So now one more thing that we have to say, because now of the inaugural flight of Suriname Airways,
I was just about to go there, get out of my head.
that is why
Yes.
120 Surinamese are coming, because that plane can hold 5,000 kilograms of cargo, and they have now decided to come to Barbados in droves. They're bringing their cargo with them, and a lot of their, because when I went there last month, I met with just about every business person there is in Suriname. I mean, I can't get out of these countries when I go. You just have to hear Prime Minister Motley in Barbados, and I'm getting all the calls. So I met with so many people in Guyana, Brazil, and Suriname on my last trip that, you know, I have meetings now till the end of the year, technically speaking. So what I'm saying to you is that Suriname Airways flight is a very important cog in promoting trade between the region.
Well, I wanted to go there because I was going to tell you to talk to us a little bit about, and I know that we're making significant inroads across the region in terms of travel, which, you know, a lot of the times we've been talking about this single market and single economy and doing trade and business across the region, but without that travel factor, without maritime support, without air support, it all sometimes comes to naught, where we have to travel to so many different places to be able to get to one other place. So
But
significant
again,
inroads there
the
as well.
special envoy is very modest because she played a big role in encouraging Suriname Airways to have this direct flight to Barbados to increase the service to Barbados. And in fact, the top management of the airways is also coming into Barbados
They're coming tomorrow.
to continue those discussions about even further developing this connectivity. So we have Suriname Airways. We also have Inter-Caribbean upping its game and putting in place a number of flights.
We now have a direct flight to Jamaica.
To Jamaica, correct. Yeah. And then you can, as soon as you land in Kingston, you can hop on another Inter-Caribbean flight straight to Havana.
Well, they've promised me that I can come to Jamaica, do Mornin Barbados, and be back here in time to do school pickup.
Yes, no, it's happening. And we expect that the new iteration of LIAT, LIAT 2020, will soon be coming on stream as well, and they are planning to relaunch with approximately six planes, right? So yes, so we know that coming out of COVID and the collapse of LIAT, we had a serious transportation crisis, but the good news is that it is gradually being solved. And then the icing on the cake, the ferry service. And we spoke about the government initiative, the three governments, but then there's also the private sector initiative,
Absolutely.
right? Connect Carib, which is expected to come on stream later this year, and all of this really fits into Barbados's economic diplomacy, because all that we are trying to do with Suriname, Guyana, Venezuela or, that Southern Caribbean project, it requires transportation.
Absolutely. I think Bajans, we're going to have to up our game a little bit. For me, I've been thinking about that that ferry trip and how the trip will feel, because we know that side of the island is a little different from the west coast of the island. I'm sure everything will work out. So we certainly need to look at what we're doing here on island, certainly by way of the languages.
Oh yes, that's another thing that we're doing.
Making sure that we are exposing far more Barbadians,
the education
youth
to Spanish
to
and
Spanish
Portuguese.
If we are making
And
these
Dutch.
big connections.
That's right, that's right. So that's one of the meetings that the Brazilian delegation will be having with the Ministry of Education and the University of the West Indies. And as you know, with that Jukes Plantation project, where 40 acres of land has been donated to the University of the West Indies, part of the Brazil delegation will be meeting with them as well, because a lot of technical cooperation from Brazil is going into that project at Jukes. So let me tell you something. This delegation, as I said, the business that we're conducting in this short space of time is a lot. And I'll tell you, this is the beginning of the movement of business between Barbados and businessmen and Brazil, because more delegations are coming. And I also want to say that a large number, at least 25 people, wanted to make it on this occasion from Brazil, but they couldn't due to various technical issues. But I will tell you, it is going to be live on Zoom, because now we're doing technology diplomacy. Okay, so it's going to be live on Zoom, it's going to be recorded and put on YouTube. So you spoke to the issue of languages, and we are pursuing that as well, as Ambassador said, relentlessly.
All right,
so there are a lot of avenues we're going down.
Make sure when you're doing these meetings in future that you get us involved too, because we can make it a little more than recorded and put up. We can make it
so
live
you'll
down
be
the
there,
future.
and I just want to end by saying, let the business persons who are coming, if they can't get you on the Google Sheet, dial 286-2419.
Relentless.
And make sure that you register and be at that very important business-to-business session at the Lloyd Erskine Sanderford Center at 9:30 a.m. this Thursday, the 22nd of February.
Absolutely. There will be a lot happening. And I know, Ambassador, when we speak of languages and bringing the opportunity for Barbadians to delve into Spanish and Portuguese a little bit more, I know Venezuela has been doing a lot in Barbados for a very long time to expose Barbadians to Spanish. You facilitated a meeting, an interview that we did with them back in the day about Petrocaribos as well. So we were able to share a lot about the work that they do in various areas as well.
Venezuela and Cuba are very special to us in the Caribbean. Some people think of Venezuela as a South American country, but it's very much a Caribbean country as well. It has a large Caribbean shoreline. And the thing about Venezuela is that it has, over decades now, it has consistently reached out to the Caribbean. There's a Venezuelan embassy in virtually every CARICOM independent country. Similarly with Cuba, there's a Cuban embassy in every single independent CARICOM country. And Venezuela has even taken it a step further, because they've set up these institutes of culture and cooperation that in fact teach the Spanish language. So any Barbadian should know, any Barbadian who is interested in learning to speak Spanish, you can go and connect with the Venezuelan Institute for Culture and Cooperation, and you will be taught Spanish. So that has existed for decades now, but as part of our cooperation agreements with both Cuba and Venezuela, we are pursuing the teaching of Spanish as a second language. This is one of the pet projects of Prime Minister Motley. She has said that she wants Barbadians to be at least bilingual.
Yes.
And that the first target must be the Spanish language. So this is being pursued with both Cuba and with Venezuela.
Oh, excellent. Final word from you.
Final word for me. I tell you that business-to-business session on Thursday, we want the captains of industry. If you have not signed up as yet, please sign up on the Google form, because we want to make sure the Brazilians specifically ask for this. So we are urging the business persons, we went through the Chamber of Commerce, of course, who would have circulated the information, but everybody don't look at their emails at the same time. So I'm urging you to sign up on the Google form that was in the Weekend Nation, or call 286-2419. And as I said, the governor of the central bank will be addressing the session. Mr. James Clark, who's president of the chamber, will also be addressing the session, and Ambassador Wayne McCook will speak on behalf of CARICOM.
All right, and you're off to the heads of government meeting?
No, well, yes, that's next week, but my first mission tomorrow is to travel to St. Lucia to represent Barbados at St. Lucia's Independence celebration on Thursday. Yeah, and then when I come back, then I think I spend like a day in Barbados, and then we're off to Guyana for the CARICOM Heads of Government Conference.
Excellent. We look forward to further conversations on CARICOM. We most certainly are looking forward to all of the fruits of your labor and the work of many others to make this all come together. So thank you both for making time, getting up early and coming in to share with us this morning. This, of course,
it's worth the effort.
Absolutely.
It's worth the effort.
Ambassador Comishong and Special Envoy Althea Wiggins, Prime Minister's Special Envoy to Suriname and Guyana. We're going to take a break here as the sun continues to rise. And of course, you can see what's happening outside a little bit better as we broadcast live from the WIldey showroom of Standard. So stay tuned.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
I am Anne St. John, a consultant pediatrician. Selecting water instead of commercial juice drinks or sweet drinks or sodas is recommended with meals and with snacks. Parents are advised to choose alternatives. Avoid drinks where the first two ingredients on the back label are water and a type of sugar. The high frequent consumption of sugar contributes to developing overweight and obesity in your child.
What's going on, everybody? It's Mahalia from Mahalia's Corner and the band to Mile Hill. I'm about to become a mommy for the very first time, and I know there's so much that I can't control as my baby grows up. And while that's the truth for all parents, there are some things we can do to help set up our little ones for a long and healthy life. And one of those things is making sure that they're immunized against deadly but preventable diseases like polio, rubella, and mumps. Things like measles have been making a recent comeback due to a serious decline in childhood immunization. Now, my mommy made sure we kept up with my immunization schedule when I was little, and now here I am, healthy, and about to do the same for my own bundle of joy. So I encourage you to get your little ones immunized, keep up with their immunization schedules, and give them the best chance at growing up strong and healthy and having the opportunity to make a positive impact on the world.
Hi, good day. I'm Auntie Diane to some of the children in my life, but I'm also Dr. Diane Brathwaite from the Barbados Diabetes Foundation.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
When trying to preserve one's pride, what measures are reasonable?
Now I have a partner in crime. I should finally be able to date on Amelia Harris once and for all.
I love it.
How far is too far?
This ain't necessary, and it ain't right.
Error. I gotta go for the kill. No.
Make your own conclusions as you follow the events which threaten to leave Shatanya undone.
Shatanya Undone. We want to welcome Mario Herbert back, author of this book, and I mean, he has an entire series. So it's good to have you with us. Welcome back.
Yes, thank you very much. It's great to be back.
I so love, for people who are just tuning in and who have not had the privilege of hearing about your work, let's talk a little bit about all the books you write that really are authentically Bajan stories, from the minibuses back to the schoolgirls and the young boys and how they react, all of the talk. So if you were to summarize the work you do within the pages of your books, how would you describe your approach to writing?
All right, I would describe it as a very authentic representation of growing up in Barbados and all of the challenges that persons face growing up and the lessons persons learn. Right.
So let's talk a little bit about where you started, from the very first publication to where you are today.
Okay, so the very first publication was kind of not too long ago. That would have been Adrian at Large. That would have been in 2021. And the story kind of told itself from there, because there are so many wonderful experiences and interesting ones that it kind of told itself. And we are now here having a female protagonist, but all in the same world. So yeah.
So now here we are with Shatanya Undone. Yeah. And I really love that you've been connecting the digital space with what's happening in the books as well, because I feel like that's going to really help a lot of young people to connect with these stories once they can see it kind of come alive digitally in video as well. So talk to us about this particular book, where you now have, as you mentioned, this female protagonist.
Okay, so this is the second book in the Shatanya series. So the last book, we saw her as a very popular girl, that she's sort of the girl that everybody would love to be. This book, we shake that up, and the book opens, there is a really horrible storm that claims her house. So her entire living situation changes. She is now poor. Where she lives is not like the best. So it is really something that I think lots of people relate to growing up, when one feels somewhat ashamed of where they live. They don't want persons to necessarily find out their living situation, or to find out how poor they are. But there is this really interesting dichotomy, I would call it, where you find that persons that are obsessed with trying to keep up a certain image or trying to escape shame, their actions to do so usually tend to lead them to some shameful places. And so that is kind of the lesson she learns here.
Absolutely. So talk to me a little bit more about where you kind of draw your inspiration. Is it all reflective, or are you constantly observing what's happening in our natural environment and thinking, this would make some interesting, an interesting plot for a book?
Yes, please. It's a mixture of both. In terms of this book, I have lived in a variety of places, in a variety of conditions, so I can relate to it on some level. And I am someone that has reached a stage in life of not necessarily feeling ashamed of where I am now, but I focus upon where I am going. So in the same token, I have since encountered persons that felt shamed of where they were now, and I have been able to kind of show them through how I relate to them that it's not important where you are now, it is where you are going, you know.
Why did you determine to do short stories instead of maybe going a longer route? So we've seen the series with Adrian, and now we're going through, where Shatanya is now taking center stage, but all presented as short stories.
Yes. So the first story that I ever wrote, the very first story in Adrian at Large, was a short story. It did extremely well. And I had to then decide, am I going to take that and make it a chapter, or am I going to treat that as its own thing and then write more? And I kind of decided based upon my primary target audience. I say primary because, the work resonates with the whole range, But in terms of my primary target of teenagers, and I found that they related very well to having the shorter form. But I was able to have my cake and still eat it, because the short stories, they are all designed that any of them I can pull out and read it on its own, which works well if I have to do things like readings in schools. However, if you read them together, they actually weave together to tell a larger tale, not only inside each book, but weaving the books and reading them together also tells a much larger tale, so that a person can go into it and feel as if there isn't a big investment they have to make in order to start reading. However, once they get into it, they are still getting a longer form tale across all of them.
What's the feedback like on these stories? You mentioned that you're heading into schools and sharing about the stories and so on. So what's the feedback been like?
Well, the feedback is that the kids relate. I actually made a book donation on Friday, and the kids went and grabbed all of what I gave first out of everything else there. And I think that it just kind of shows you that when you can give kids things that are relatable to them, they can see themselves in some way represented, not only in the cover art, but on each page there are experiences that feel as if this could actually be me. Right, so it has been received really, really well, where I actually have kids that are not only asking how soon until they get the next one, but it has also sparked kids to want to actually write also.
How important has it been for you to write stories where local children can see themselves reflecting from the pages of what you write, as you mentioned, not only in the art that we're seeing on the cover pages, but through the stories, the colorful stories that really are authentically Bajan, like I said, from the minibus rides to the minibus drivers and conductors' behavior, etc.
Yes, well, I would say this, growing up in school, there were lots of books we had. There were even some of them regional. But reading stories in a school context, there seemed to always be something in it that I didn't have a reference for. And at some point during school, the thought crossed my mind, how come we don't necessarily get more Barbadiana type things? So that was definitely important for me to bring it home. If I was going to write anything, I wanted it to be brought home to BIM.
That's truly excellent. Where can we get the books, Mario, for those people who are thinking, I need to hear more about Adrian, and I certainly want to hear about Shatanya?
Yes, please. All of the books, they are now available in Deanna Dash's toy shop. All right, so that's where you can find the whole series right now.
Absolutely. So make sure you check out Shatanya Undone. This is the latest addition to the series. Yes. So make sure you pick it up. It can make a wonderful gift for that young person. All right, so heading up to the 7 o'clock hour, we have an update of the news for you, and there's lots more to come for today's presentation of Morning Barbados. A special good morning to those of you who are heading out and will be traversing the WIldey area. As you pass by, shoot us a wave. We'd love that. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Hi folks, it's Natalie Burke. Y'all remember when we used to have to line up at primary school with our uniform sleeves rolled up so the nurses could give us the injection? Or that bad tasting drop of red liquid that they used to give us with a sugar cube to kill the taste? Well, you know just what I'm talking about. Those are our childhood memories. But while memories were being made, we were actually getting protection. Protection from illnesses and diseases like measles, mumps, rubella, and polio that could make us very sick or potentially kill us. Nowadays, there has been a noticeable decrease in the numbers of children being immunized. Why deny them a chance to be well or even to live? Come on, parents and guardians, step up for your children. Get them immunized and keep up with the immunization schedule. Stop lying and get your children protected starting today.
I'm Anne St. John, a consultant pediatrician. When packing healthy lunch boxes, do include a fruit, which includes a banana, apple, orange, or grapes to supply fiber. Aim for low-calorie packaged snacks without the mention of flour or sugar amongst the first 4 ingredients on the back label. 1 in 3 children in Barbados is affected by overweight or obesity. Let us join together as parents and care providers to reduce the further development of this chronic non-communicable disease within our communities.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Time for an update of the news. The continued violation of the road traffic rules and reckless, lawless behavior will no longer be tolerated by the Alliance Owners of Public Transport, or the AOPT. A recent viral video of 2 ZRs overtaking each other and doing so in a dangerous fashion has come to the attention of the organization, which has deemed it reprehensible. Director of Public Communications and Public Affairs Officer Mark Haynes says this type of repugnant behavior will not be endorsed.
It is reckless, senseless, and must be repudiated. I strongly condemn this behavior. I frown on this behavior as it only seeks to bring the PSD sector into public disrepute. Once again, I call on all workers in this sector to be of good behavior, be respectful to yourselves, the general public, the police, the transport authority, and whomever. Do not break or seek to circumvent the traffic laws at no time.
Now, Mr. Haynes added that they need to be far more responsible with the lives they have charge of while on the vans.
Be responsible and be professional on all the roads of Barbados. We can do better than this. This is behavior that cannot be accepted, I will not be accepted by the wider PSP fraternity.
Public and private sector business leaders from Latin America and the Caribbean are meeting in Barbados this week. The highlight of the exercise will be a series of intense business-to-business meetings at the Bagnalls Point Gallery, Pelican Village, on Thursday. I believe that has been shifted now to the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center. That meeting will be addressed by Governor of the Central Bank of Barbados, Dr. Kevin Greenwich. Barbados Special Envoy to Guyana and Suriname, Althea Wiggins, tells CBC News that the delegations are coming from Brazil, Guyana, Suriname, Venezuela, and Cuba.
The event is aimed at fostering cross-border partnerships and economic collaborations. And for the first time, a 30-member private sector delegation from SEBRAE, one of the largest private sector agencies in Brazil, will be coming to Barbados. The Brazil and Suriname delegations will be led by their respective ministers of agriculture and include a wealth of expertise and opportunities for cooperation in agriculture, cattle rearing, beef supply, animal husbandry, fish farming, and other sectors.
The Labour Clauses Concessions Bill will not act as a deterrent for potential investors. In fact, Minister in the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Investment, Senator Chad Blackman, believes it will have the opposite effect. Speaking during the BLP St. John's branch meeting, he suggested the debate on the bill in the Senate this week will be one of the most significant in the country's history.
This week alone, I was speaking to a few persons from abroad who are looking to come to the country to invest. And you know what they said? We are taking keen note of this bill that you guys are pushing. Not that it's going to cause them to run away. They said, actually, we now even have more respect for your little country called Barbados. Because why? It means that you have deep ethics within your governance policy. We want to do business with a country like yours because why? Our business model is based on sustainability and just.
Senator Blackman says, as a result of the country's advocacy on the international scene, people around the world are following public discourse on that bill.
Barbados is now known as the champion for climate justice. Barbados is now known around the world for financial justice. So you can't have climate justice and financial justice, but you don't treat workers with justice in your own country. It can't work. So therefore, people are now realizing, and I'm telling you, a lot of persons around the world are now gluing on to our debate on this particular bill to see how it is going to play out. And not just play out, because based on the numbers, of course, it is a likely conclusion in terms of what's going to happen. But persons are taking note to see who is going to go against the workers.
Barbados recorded 95 new COVID-19 cases between January 20th and February 16th. According to the latest dashboard from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, 986 tests were conducted over the 4-week period. No new deaths were recorded during that period in review, so the number of fatalities since March 2020 stand at 648. The Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association has welcomed plans for increased airlift from the U.S. next winter. From November, American Airlines will launch a daily non-stop flight from New York's JFK Airport and a Saturday-only service from Philadelphia. Chairman of the BHTA, Renee Coppin, says there's a strong link between airlift, arrivals, and occupancy at hotels, villas, and other properties. She also expects there will be spillover benefits to restaurants and other attractions.
The announcement of the return of the American Airlines flight from JFK to Barbados Grantley Adams International, coming as it does approximately 10 years since the cessation of that flight, is especially exciting and pleasing. In June 2022, we in the BHTA created a wish list for the return of airlift to the island, and it included the return of American Airlines from JFK to BGI. At that time, we were asking for a minimum of 5 days a week. To have it as a daily service from November 2024, therefore exceeds our hopes at that time.
Ms. Coppin highlighted some of the additional benefits of this new service.
It will bode well for expansion of business from the East Coast of the United States, provide a business class service for our more premium travelers, reduce the pressure on the Miami connection, and ensure extra options for our diaspora travelers. Coupled with the record airlift out of the UK this winter, and given that the island has added rooms with our new Wyndham Sam Lloyd's Castle Resort, we are really very happy with these developments.
Further afield, Derek Blackman of the Bahamas has retained his title as winner of the International Crafted Cocktail Competition. The event, hosted by Remy Cointreau Barbados, was held at Hayman's Market on Sunday. Blackman beat out 11 other mixologists from the region with his cocktail called The Culture.
It's actually a gin-based cocktail with fresh pressed sugarcane juice, also a cucumber and curry infused simple syrup that I actually put together last minute, using a little bit of culinary skills to actually incorporate to the cocktail. So bringing the culture together, which is not just the cocktail culture, but a little bit of culinary into the mix of it as well too.
Now, in addition to the coveted title, Blackman has also received an all-expense-paid trip to the world's leading cocktail conference for drink industry professionals, Tales of the Cocktail, which will be held in New Orleans in July. Mount Gay commercial manager for Barbados, Agnes Jordan, congratulated him on his second win in as many years.
He's very talented, very humble, and we're very happy to have him back here again today. So I want to say, obviously, it's an effort with all our counterparts from the Caribbean. So we want to talk the entire team of Remy Cointreau to put this together, all the bartenders from the region, and we want to keep encouraging mixologists to grow, to learn their trade, and to be passionate about what they're doing so they can enjoy and definitely be part of something great in the Caribbean region.
That's it for our morning news update. Do join us at 12 noon for our Newsday program, or The World at 1 via our radio services at 1 p.m. Morning Barbados continues just ahead.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Every year, millions of children die from causes that are preventable and treatable. Scary, right? It's a songbird Nikita, mom of two young boys, Knox and Noah. And rates of immunization have been backsliding to their lowest levels in the last 3 decades, which means that children are missing out on routine vaccines that can help keep them safe from deadly diseases like measles, mumps, polio, and even tetanus. I want to encourage every mom and dad out there to give your child the opportunity to live a healthy life, one that they will not only survive, but thrive. Protect your child as I protect mine.
Hello, good day. My name is Dr. Diane Brackett. I'm the Clinical Director at the Barbados Diabetes Foundation and also the lead consultant at the Diabetes Clinic. My tip for the week is plan it. And what do I mean by plan it? If you think about it realistically, we all live very, very busy lives. And if you take the time to plan your meals and nutrition over the coming week, you'll find that you'll actually eat healthier meals, spend less money, and they'll probably...
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Welcome back to today's presentation of Morning Barbados. Again, we are coming to you live from the Standard Showroom in WIldey. The sun is out in all of its glory, as you can tell, so we certainly are enjoying a little bit of sunshine and looking at the traffic as it passes outside as well. So we're going to do a little bit of reflecting at this time. Quite recently, we interviewed Betty Douglas Paris, a Barbadian retired English professor and model living in New York City. And she spoke about moving to New York, her passion for teaching, and modeling at the age of 70. Welcome the beautiful Betty Douglas Paris to Morning Barbados. Good morning.
Good morning.
All
Pleased
right.
to be here.
That's better. That's better. Now we can hear you loud and clear. So we started by asking you what took you away from Barbados back in 1979.
I wanted to advance my career. So after graduating from Urdeston Teachers College, I decided that I needed to do a lot more than that. I taught here for 7 years, and then I went to Pace University in New York, did my bachelor's there, and then I did my master's at Brooklyn College, and subsequently I signed up at CUNY in order to complete my PhD.
And that's the University of New York, the
Yes.
various campuses and
Yes, it is.
stuff like that. What was your career like in teaching all those years? Because I know you took a break at some point and tried to move into another area of business, but it wasn't for you. Ultimately, you went back to teaching.
Yes, I actually became a secretary, an executive secretary at International Paper. I did that for about 3 years, but somehow or the other, my passion was teaching. So I decided that I wanted to go back into that, and I started working at Medgar Evers College, first of all, in the continuing education sector. So I worked there as an HSE teacher, which was preparing students for the General Education Development Program. That was very challenging, but somehow or the other, I felt that I could do a lot more. So I did my master's in English, and then I decided that, you know, I can work in the freshman area as an English professor, and that's what I did.
When people say they're passionate about something, particularly when it's in different areas, I mean, I know it means different things, but when you talk about your passion for teaching, bring that home to us in terms of feelings.
Well,
How does teaching make you feel?
Well, it's good that you can impart knowledge to students where they can comprehend. It's not just a matter of imparting the knowledge to them, but knowing that somewhere along the line that this education that you're giving to them is going to be well-rounded where they can adjust to society. So I believe that you have to have a love for it as well. Because if you don't, I mean, teaching is not a fantastic or glamorous job as people seem to think it is. When you leave the classroom at 3 o'clock or whatever time you leave there, you're taking home that work with you, and sometimes you're up all night correcting papers up until 11 or 12 o'clock and preparing, and no group of students are the same. Every time you teach a subject or you teach a lesson, you have to readjust it to the needs of the students, and that's what's important, because you can't come into the classroom with the same lessons that are sometimes a drudgery. You have to work on the students' visual acumen. Sometimes they're more mobile. There are times when you have to teach them in different formats. They're visual, they can be, you have to really take into consideration all the aspects of how do children learn, and that's very important.
Now, you started teaching back in the mid-70s.
Yes.
And you in essence have taught through into the digital age. What was that transition like for you?
Oh my God. It took me a while to get adjusted, but most colleges do have advanced classes for people so that you can upgrade your career. One of the things I found that was a bit frustrating was when they went to computerization, and then you had to learn how to learn with the students actually using gadgets in the classroom. I found it very frustrating because at times they might not have been on the site, they might have been looking at Instagram, or they might have been Googling or something like that. And my favorite phrase for that was, Google is making our students stupid. Simply because a lot of times they were not really concentrating, and you had to find ways in which to make sure that they're focused on what you're doing in the classroom. It's the newest format. Has been very helpful though for teachers in some way or the other. Very
Absolutely. Helpful. Is there a favorite subject that you love teaching? Or
English, of course.
English?
Yes.
And why do you think that's a passion of yours?
I think because it helps students to interpret, analyze, and to not read material and when they read material to regurgitate everything that they've seen. You have to think critically. It improves their skills. So when you read, you have to be able to, like we say, put it in your own words rather than what the author says. You have to, what we would call deconstruct the material, because writers normally have multifaceted meanings to the pieces that they write, and you have to be able to understand what they're saying but also go beyond that point, and that's very good. I like the deconstructive method of reading and interpreting. Yes.
And in order to deconstruct and reconstruct, there must be some type of understanding. So
yes, they must be.
I absolutely get that. Now you're retired. Yes. Am I free to announce the age?
Yes, you can.
Betty is now as beautiful as she is. I know you won't believe it. She's 70 years old.
Yes.
And you've gone into a whole other area. You have a whole new career that you're pursuing as a model. Now, how did this come about?
Well, initially when I first got to New York, I remember walking down Nostrand Avenue, and this lady came up to me. Her name was Marie Toussaint. I would never forget. And she said, "What's your name?" And I said, "My name is Betty." She said, "You struck like a model. I want you to come and do a show for me." And I was like, I was dubious, because in New York City, you have to be careful.
But hold on, coming from Barbados, first of all, because there's nobody in Barbados who's telling a tall, beautiful lady back in the 70s or early 80s even,
yes,
"You're so beautiful, you look like a model." Bajans just don't do that.
No, and she was actually from St. Lucia.
Wow.
Yes, she was. So she was a promoter of, she worked with Class Magazine. I don't know if you ever heard of that. And she said, "We're doing a show in 2 weeks' time. I want you to come and enter the show." And I was like so skeptical. But I did. I went and I did the show, and she was saying to me, "Oh, you've never had training in walking the runway?" And I said, "No." And she was like so flabbergasted. She couldn't believe it. So she said, "But you were born natural, and you must get into it." So I did some features with Class Magazine. We're going way back into the 1970s. I did a stint also with Black Hair Care, where they use features of your hair and hands and stuff like that. Never paid me for it though. And from there on, I was approached by a couple of designers. I worked with a guy called Gene London. He used to do all of the costumes for all my children.
Okay.
So every time he wanted someone to try on a new outfit, he would always ask me to do it. And then I did a couple of shows with him in Philadelphia, and that was good too as well. It was a great experience.
But that was a side thing.
Yes,
so
it was.
Did you ever, after meeting this woman on Nordstrom, and those who love New York know exactly what you're talking about, they're kind of picturing it, did you ever think, "Ooh, this could be a viable career"? Or did you think in true Caribbean woman style and say, "Okay, maybe on the side"?
I said maybe on the side. But everywhere I went, and I was dressed, people would say, "Oh, you look like a model." So I said I wanted to bring it into reality, and that's what I did. So after completing my education, I decided, actually, my husband was a photographer. So he encouraged me to further get into it, and that's exactly what I did. And over the years, somehow the other, my passion grew, and I did more of it. But I must tell this story. I remember when I did my portfolio, myself and another Jamaican friend of us, we went to Essence and Ebony magazine, and we presented it to them at that time. We were talking 1983, and we were told that we were too ethnic looking.
Wow.
Yes.
For Essence magazine.
Essence and Ebony magazine. We were told that we were too ethnic looking. But
Essence and Ebony magazine thought magazines that are meant to target
black people, yes,
told you were too ethnic looking.
Yes.
Wow.
And look how it has changed over the years now.
Yep.
There are more of us that are prevalent in the magazine. I was at the time when there was a model named Magic. I think she went to Paris in order to further her career. And then she came back to New York, and she was splashed all over the magazines. But it was only after she was discovered in Paris. But I never had the opportunity to do that myself.
Yeah. Wow. So these days, how has that changed now that, you're not pursuing that career, you're no longer teaching full time as you did before, you're free to focus on this modeling. So how has that been going?
Well, I think that it has been I've been very successful. I did a couple of features in magazines. My last one was in March, where I did an issue, and it was based on Fabulous and Flawless. I felt good about that. I've been walking the runways for Juneteenth. I've been doing some modeling for jewelry designers and for a couple of fashion designers themselves. But I want to go into it on a bigger scale. So Rihanna, if you're listening, I want to walk in your Fenty show. Yes.
I think that is absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
As beautiful as you are, Betty, and it's wonderful to see that you're embracing who you are. You've embraced your age. You most certainly don't look the, the age that we would think somebody would look at 70, but I know it has changed.
Yes.
Because for me, people who are getting up there in age don't look like what I used to think they looked like when I was a little girl. So
70s is the new 50s.
I believe that.
I want to encourage Barbadians who are in BARP to think about this career, because there are older people out there. We need you for AARP in New York. We need you to show that you've had the experience as a mother, as a grandmother, whatever it is. So you just need to, if it's a passion of yours, go after it. Yes.
I love that, Betty.
Yes.
Talk to us now about this career and how the family feels about it. I know you're here saying, Rihanna, I'm ready to walk in. You know, you didn't say Savage, because Savage is another story, but, how did the family feel about this newfound career in modeling, so to speak, because you kind of got your toes wet over time?
Well, actually, my son has done some modeling in Thailand as well. He just came back from there. He did a Colgate commercial. He also did a digital camera commercial. Initially, when he was a baby, I started him out in certain magazines, so he's quite open to it. But he says that it is more difficult for young black men to get into the modeling because there are so many of them in New York. But he was able to go after that foray in Thailand, and I think he will probably go back there again.
Betty, it would be remiss of me if we didn't talk about how you take care of yourself, because I don't believe you rolled out of bed looking like this morning. So, what's your beauty routine for women who are listening? How do you take care of your body? There's a lot of focus these days on health and wellness and mental health and wellness. So how do you take care of you as a 70-year-old lady who's had a long, illustrious career in teaching and now has moved into a career that a lot of people see as one for younger people, but you're embracing all of you, who you are, and sharing with the world?
Yes. I have a beauty regimen which I do. I normally do a moisturize, I cleanse. I do not wash my face.
What?
I don't wash my face. I haven't washed my face in probably 30 years. I just cleanse it, moisturize, and then sometimes at night I always use a moisturizer as well. I do the eye cream, which is very helpful. And every 6 months I go to Arizona to the spa. I do a week of just the whole body, which is very important. I do meditation. That's also very important to your health and well-being. And I find that when I go there, I am more relaxed and I can, get into myself. It's not, some people might see it as being self-centered, but no, it is. If you don't take care of your body, who's going to do it? And I exercise 3 times a week.
What type of exercise do you do?
I do the aerobics, I do the stretches, and I do the yoga. And I walk sometimes in Prospect Park with my daughter and the dogs. Yes.
Oh, that's absolutely beautiful. It certainly sounds like you are truly enjoying life. And I'm happy that you shared a message for the members of BARP as well.
Yes, and I would like to come down here and promote a fashion show with them.
Oh, well, that sounds good. I'm sure that Marilyn Rice-Bowen would be more than open to having you. These are definitely some gorgeous pictures, some of them candid shots from casual events or events that you've attended, and others looking quite professional in terms of the shoots that you are doing. So I want to thank you, Betty, for coming in and sharing with us. It's so refreshing to meet people like
so
you.
Much. It was a pleasure.
Who are just so open and welcoming and just happy about being here, happy about life.
Yes.
Yeah, and we've spoken on the phone for what seems like over the span of 2 years.
Yes, we have. But nothing came to fruition. But I came, and your friend Jeffrey was insistent that I need to talk and let people know about my adventures and what I'm doing in New York. And I'm happy to be here. It was a pleasure.
Where are you from in Barbados, Betty?
Maxwell Hill. Maxwell Hill, Christchurch, yes.
Yeah, so your entire family looks like this?
No, they don't. I'm encouraging them to exercise, really and truthfully, because I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Very important, yes.
All right, well, thank you for all that you've done. And it would be wonderful to have you weigh in on what's happening here in the Barbadian educational sector and maybe compare and contrast based on all the years that you've shared and contributed to the educational sector in the U.S. at the collegiate level.
Yes. One thing I must say is that initially when Barbadians first came to New York and they were applying to the colleges, students who do the common entrance exam here in Barbados are working at the high school level in New York City, and they really did excel. I was very impressed with that. But I think somehow over the years, it is not at that high level, and I'm concerned about students being encouraged just to take an exam and just for the sake of the exam, but they're not all rounded. And I think Barbadians in particular, they write very well. They know the basics of composing an essay, and we were very impressed. I think we used a sample of a Barbadian student when we were doing our studies in order to help students write essays and write them in a format that is acceptable. So, and we as educators, a couple of people saying, oh no, he could not have written that essay. It was so well written, very well written. So I must commend the teachers here for the good work that they're doing. I got my values from here, and I'm sure that you can go very far if you pay attention to your education here in Barbados.
Oh, thanks for that. Thanks on behalf of the teachers as well. I know sometimes we give them a lot of licks.
Yes.
So take your flowers now, teachers. Some of them still working through the summer with our little ones. Others taking a much needed break as they get ready for the new school term and a new crop of students. And like you said, Betty, every cohort of students, they demand something different.
Yes,
so
they do.
They do. Quite beautiful.
Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure.
Betty, the retired teacher, I don't think you ever there's certain professions you never retire from, and I don't think you can retire from being a teacher. So I can't say Betty, the retired teacher. I have to say Betty, the teacher.
Still working with students.
who's now embarked on a new career in modeling at age 70 and looking gorgeous.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Beautiful to see Betty again and hear more about what she's been doing. In the interim, there's so much to do here at Standard. I'm trying to get her a game of something. Chess. This young lady feels it's a chessboard, but she thinks she's playing.
See?
We're going to take a break here at Standard and come on back.
Morning new.
Hi everybody, my name is Stephanie Chase, an educator tasked with providing very important for me to encourage parents and guardians to get their children vaccinated. Occupying ill and educational administration. Information for you to make an informed decision. As someone who has been vaccinated as a child and who continues to do, you protect me, and together
morning to you.
Now, we wanted to share with you something else that we were Colin Bailey, and he's at Florida in the U.S. and he spoke with Stage back in 2019 and his life and music. Since then, we wanted to give you a little morning inspiration. So check this out. We have a gentleman coming through to share with us this morning. So let's welcome Caution, who is also known as Gregory Colin Bailey. That definitely sounds like a Caribbean name. And he hails I was at, and it was kind of an up and let's say over 5 years now, because of what was going on in my life. Some of our young men out there. All right, so this really great. We're on it, and there are about 7 tracks on here. So tell us the tracks. Well, the 7 tracks are songs that we were recording probably about over the past 10 years. Toured a lot. If for those that know who I am, I was touring a lot with Third World. So the project kept pushing back, and then in 2019. We came off the road and decided, well, okay, it's time for us to put this project out. And at the verge of deciding, well, okay, now I had gotten sick. I was rushed to the hospital, and everything got pushed back, and everything changed. There was a whole host of delays. We weren't sure where we were going to be. Went through that whole process, which started 2019, I said, to now. All right, so let's take a little break, because you said you got sick, but what was happening? What were you missing? What was going on that you didn't see at the time, that you got to the point where you were so sick you had to be rushed to hospital? Well, for most people, most Caribbean men, we tend to neglect certain things unless we have women or adults in our lives that are helping to encourage us to do certain things. We just don't do it. We take it for granted. Everything is fine. For me personally, as an artist, I was constantly on the road, constantly busy, never paying attention to basic necessities, and I neglected a lot of things. And one day I was feeling a slight pain, went to the emergency room, and everything went haywire at that point. And when I woke up a day and a half later in the hospital,
diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. And that was something that was devastating to not just my family, my friends, the fans around the world that learned about it, and everything changed. Everything changed, and it changed because of neglect. And we're hoping that with the Mission in Progress concept and so on, that we can help to start to encourage and empower the minds of young men to not take these things for granted. Every now and then you go and get a physical and go and get checked out, make sure everything is okay.
Absolutely. In hindsight, what are some of the things that you pushed through or looked past that you really shouldn't have?
Wow. I should have spent a little bit more time on my personal side instead of focusing so much on where I wanted to be, where I wanted everything. I was concentrating so much on everything else and not focusing. I had one conversation with a friend of mine, Joe, and he was encouraging me to go do a colonoscopy. And by a certain time, he said most men should do this by a certain time. And I said, what? And the stigma of it, when you think about what it entails, no, do that, kind of thing. And it was something that I found that a lot of my musician friends, a lot of the artists that I'm around on a regular basis, all have the same mindset until something happens,
Now, as you mentioned, you've done a lot of touring. So you've toured with Third World, as you mentioned. You've toured with prominent reggae artists like Rita Marley, Dennis Brown, Freddie McGregor, and so many others. What has been that side of life been like for you, even before we get to the project that you're telling us about today?
Well, that was a hectic, especially with my life is pretty much surrounded with Third World itself, because I've toured as the opening act for Third World for years. All the other artists that I mentioned throughout my years, I was signed with a company, Jammin's Promotion in New York, that was managing me, and a lot of the concerts that these guys were into, which are major concerts, hence those artists were always on the bill, But it was a very busy and high intense situation all the time.
I see on this new project, the Mission in Progress, you're also paying homage to your homeland, Antigua.
Yeah, Antigua.
Talk to me about the songs, the music on the album, the EP.
Well, during the time when I in the middle of this journey so far, I got involved with Elite Resorts we wrote a song, Maurice, Gregory and I, Antigua I come from. And Elite Resorts got involved with us to pretty much create this video and to promote Antigua, and it's been doing extremely well. I think everybody was a little nervous because I was being almost forced to do a lot of things, even though I was struggling with it, because they weren't sure which way we were going, what was going to end up happening. People start to get nervous, thinking, well, this is it, kind of thing. So we were doing a lot of things in preparation so that the music and the stuff was actually prepared. And then I got involved with this movie, Deep Blue, that's produced by Howard and Mitzi Allen. And they, in the production of that movie, which was my first time acting as well, they were like gung-ho to record all my parts, because nobody was sure knowing what was going to take place.
I haven't seen Mitzi in years. I don't think I've been back to Antigua in years. Oh my goodness! When's the last time I was in Antigua? It must be well over 5 years ago. So a trip is definitely due. Yeah. But talking to you about Antigua definitely brings back some memories. Antigua is a spot that I absolutely love as well. And I have to say a special good morning to my brother-in-law, who is also Antiguan.
What?
Yeah, we know how charming the Antiguan men can be. We understand it. My sister fell for it. Yes, all of that. All right, so talk to me about the title track on this new EP. It's called, you know, Mission in Progress.
Mission in Progress.
What does that mean to you, and why that name at this time, as you, even as you continue on your journey post finding out that, you know, you had this major challenge to overcome?
Well, the Mission is in Progress was written about my son. I was having situations going on with, you know, the youths, them how sometimes it look difficult. So I have to give him credit for that tune there. But when I wrote the song, The Mission is in Progress, always speak your words with love, right? Always remember that old people used to say, who no hear will feel, right? So when I was writing the song, it was along that lines there. And what happened is now, it was I was reminding him that no matter what happens in your life, the mission is always in progress. Put one step in front of each, one foot in front of each other. Make sure you get up with that mindset in your head that what happens today doesn't mean that that is going to happen tomorrow. So make sure you face everything with a positive frame of mind, one step at a time.
That's definitely a positive message, but that's what he's bringing you on this new EP, so you should definitely check it out. All for you, Antigua me come from, not me, caution. Come On Baby featuring Red Fox, Back to My Roots, Thank You, Jah We Need, and the final track on that EP, Mission in Progress. Thank you for coming through and sharing your story with us. I know it can be difficult sometimes to share these deeply touching stories, and I wish you all the best on your journey as you continue to stay well.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. It's been great being here.
All right, check out Caution online. The music is sweet. Trust me.
Every day I rise, I worry about the pressures of life. Yeah. When you're about to win, there is always a fight. Now what does it take for a man to rise with a smile on his face and give thanks and praise for all that's been done?
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
I am Anne St. John, a consultant pediatrician. Selecting water instead of commercial juice drinks or sweet drinks or sodas is recommended with meals and with snacks. Parents are advised to choose alternatives. Avoid drinks where the first two ingredients on the back label are water and a type of sugar. The high frequent consumption of sugar contributes to developing overweight and obesity in your child.
What's going on, everybody? It's Mahalia from Mahalia's Corner and the band to Mel Hill. I'm about to become a mommy for the very first time, and I know there's so much that I can't control as my baby grows up. And while that's the truth for all parents, there are some things we can do to help set up our little ones for a long and healthy life. And one of those things is making sure that they're immunized against deadly but preventable diseases like polio, rubella, and mumps. Things like measles have been making a recent comeback due to a serious decline in childhood immunization. Now, my mommy made sure we kept up with my immunization schedule when I was little, and now here I am, healthy, and about to do the same for my own bundle of joy. So I encourage you to get your little ones immunized, keep up with their immunization schedules, and give them the best chance at growing up strong and healthy and having the opportunity to make a positive impact on the world.
Hi, good day. I'm Auntie Diane to some of the children in my life,
but I'm also Dr. Diane Brathwaite from the Barbados Diabetes Foundation. So it has been shown that consumption of sugar in excessive amounts contributes to diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, acne, concentration problems, putting on excess weight, and I could go on and on. Do you know?
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Welcome back to Morning Barbados. We're having a great time reflecting on some of the good times we've had over the last few weeks. And speaking of good times, you'd recall that we were at the Whole Town Festival last Friday. Well, we ventured back on Saturday, and a Morning Barbados team was there for the George Elliott Classic Car presentation. So let's take a look at that. So that was a taste of oysters that happened this year. We certainly are looking forward to next year's presentation. It was absolutely fantastic. Now, we were supposed to have, did I say whole town, guys? I said oysters. Oysters must be on my mind. No, that was Whole Town Festival. Yeah, no, Whole Town. I'm sorry, Whole Town Festival. All right, so we were supposed to have the honorary ambassador of Liberia on today by a connection. Unfortunately, we were not able to make that connection. And I know he had loads of people across the continent and in Liberia and indeed across the Caribbean looking out for that connection. We're going to make that connection pretty soon and tell you exactly well. So we must apologize for not being able to bring that segment to you today. What I can tell you is there's going to be a journey from Liberia to Barbados that really highlights what happened in reverse many, many years ago. So if you don't know, many Barbadians left here and went to Liberia, and they developed a part of Liberia based on the knowledge and experience that they had, which was what happened here in Barbados. So that part of Liberia, you find a lot of Barbadian surnames and Barbadian type foods and breadfruit and all that great stuff. And now they're coming back to Barbados. They're making a trip back to Barbados in 2024. So we're going to tell you all about that because they've now reached the number of people signing up as the same number of people who left Barbados all those many, many years ago to head off to Liberia. So we're going to make that connection and share more about it with you. Of course, we're getting ready to wind up or wind down today's show, whichever you prefer to use. But before we go, we of course want to make sure that we take a peek at what's happening here as we bring you the show live from a different spot, but looking fantastic as ever. And of course, thanking the Standard team for coming out early to share with us. We are really having a good time in their dream gallery, just roaming the store, so much to see and do. So of course, we encourage you to come on down and check it out as well. All right. So coming up on tomorrow's show, we have the Human Resources Management Association of Barbados. We'll be deep in conversation. Plus, we're talking about town hall meeting, building healthy or heart-healthy communities. That town hall meeting is coming up, a panel discussion on food security and model holistic sustainable development here in the Caribbean. And the Barbados Association of Endometriosis and PCOS will be here to raise some awareness about what they're doing coming up. So that's all tomorrow on Morning Barbados. I'm wishing you a great day today. Remember to wear your smiles, do something good for somebody, and most importantly, come on back to us tomorrow for another Morning Barbados presentation. On behalf of the entire team, we want to thank you for viewing. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.